I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. We're still waiting on Neil to join us, but I'm told he's on his way, so I said we can just get going. There he is. He found his way. We'll start with our activity reports. I don't have a ton to report on. That'll come at the next meeting, I suppose, but we had our community working session last week along with our council working session. Beyond that, not much from me. Oh, I did attend the fireman supper. That was great, guys. Thank you for putting that on, and hope it was a good turnout and fundraiser for you. So, all right. I'll start at this end since Neil's still getting set. Councilman Thielen.
The working sessions that we had last Tuesday, council and special working session. That's all I've got.
All right. Gene.
That's the same for me.
All right. This is Councilwoman Brick.
I did the community and council working session. I just had a park board meeting. It was our last meeting of the year, so we did a wrap up of our projects and we toured the PAC. I did a library vision meeting and we just kind of discussed our options and our next steps that we're going to take. And Tark and I went to see the new library in Kimball to check that out. I did the city safety training today. I had to, but you know, I still did it. And I went to the fire dinner as well, which was really good, and it was good to see a big turnout, so that was nice.
Councilwoman Hertzberg.
Yeah, pretty much the same. The city working session and the prior session with the school, hospital, ambulance, and township, which didn't show. And what each entity is doing. The working session, we kind of talked about nuisance properties and city appearance as a whole. And we just had a marathon public works, looked at the budget and our salt and chloride problem in our irrigated land.
Right. And I assume we're going to talk a lot more about that in weeks to come. Yeah. Going to our department heads, Mr. Ludwig.
First of all, you see in your packet laying in your desk is the report of where we are year to date. We're still up 24% above 2019, but down from 2020, which we knew would happen. Profit still remains good. Margins we're working on. The transaction counts, are down a little bit from last year, but still way above 2019. The most important thing is that the average transactions remain higher. Our loyalty members are up to almost 1,800 now. So there's numbers in there for you to look at. If you have any questions, give me a call anytime or stop out and see me. And then the biggest item is October. For the last 3 years, our association with MMBA, we have done a fundraiser for the fire department where we have done a couple of grill outs with brats and hot dogs, and I'd like to present the firemen a check tonight if I could for $1,656. And I would like to, we get a lot of travelers in the summer, in the summertime, and a lot of them were really giving to our cause. So we were pretty happy with, it wasn't just our people supporting our community, it was even out community. People that here visiting did a great job supporting our cause. So I think we had a lot of fun doing the cookouts as well, except for the one night when we about got blown away. But, yeah, but I have a check for $1,656 I'd like to present to these guys if I could.
Please. I think Jennifer went to grab Kristen to grab a picture.
Somebody with the right shirt on. Yes, so just came from work.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Thank you very much.
I might see you.
And that's all I have on my report unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions or comments for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Andy, I have it on good authority that the fire department's also selling logo to tire. So if you want to blend in t-shirts, things like that.
Just wanted to stand out.
All right, Chief Wagner.
Thank you. Not a ton going on in the PD. We did have our annual qualification today, so you'll be happy to know that we all qualified with our firearms, which is a positive. Missy started 2 weeks ago, so she's just now heading into her 3rd week. She'll be heading up to Melrose to work with their secretary for the next couple days to get a little bit more in depth on the RMS system. At the council meeting or the working session last week, you guys had identified some of the properties, nuisance properties. We have talked with some of those property owners about getting their properties cleaned up. We've kind of given them the timeline of before the snow flies. You know, we at this time of year, usually people are out in their yards cleaning things up before winter. We will be having a presentation at Green Roof tomorrow on scams with the seniors. I think that starts at 3 o'clock, just generally talking with them about some of the stuff that's going on. I think Chamber's here to talk about their trunk or treat, but we'll be participating in that also on the 30th here of October. Little update on the K-9 equipment. The squad car has officially been transferred over to their new owners with New Ulm PD. We're in the process of getting the other equipment out there to the folks in Benson County. Unfortunately, they came down with COVID when they were supposed to come pick their stuff up. So it'll be a little bit. The other surplus property that we had that open until the end of September. We had 0 bids on any of the property. So our desks and some of those things. So we're in the process of donating that stuff back to, say, the community center, so that can go back into the community for the furniture. And on your guys' agenda, I'm sure you've seen the idea that we have for the bicycles. And then lastly, just because I know it's been a topic of conversation over the last couple of weeks, or last week, I should say, I have spoken with a majority of the people involved in this weekend's event down by the river. So hopefully we will have a fun, safe, they will be able to have a fun, safe event, and we'll have taken care of some of those concerns with that. So that's all I got.
Looking at your call-out hours for the overtime, I see that there were 3 hours for court, which obviously you can't control, but I'm just curious if you know, now that hearings and trials are going forward more, if we should be budgeting and staffing for more of these overtime hours.
I don't know, like with court, that one's kind of tough. By their contract, anytime they have court, unless it's a scheduled work shift. The hours that are in there, honestly, there was no way to avoid any of those hours. I mean, they were in custody type things, so.
No, I'm not saying that there's a problem. I'm just seeing if you get enough notice to make sure that we're adequately staffed for these types of things now that they're going to be picking up.
Yeah, most of these unfortunately end up on their days off for court, or they're working night shifts. Cody's got court tomorrow at 2. He works at 4. So, but yeah, we are staffed accordingly.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for Paul? Mr. Oliver?
Yeah, in addition to the meetings already mentioned with Megan, we had the library meeting and we toured the Kimball Library. Park and Tree Board safety training today, of course, for half the day. Public Works also today. And the airport zoning was last week, but also on the economic development side, Ron and I were with somebody who wants to do a small development in town, or looking to build several homes, so we kind of showed them what is available and what is nearby. And at the same time, we're continuing to try to see what we can do on a new industrial park, because we were getting some interest for companies wanting to do something or expand into these parks. So we're looking at a couple more options. because we're not really getting much traction on the option that we were looking at before. So we want to see what else is available, and that's, I toured a couple of different places.
All right, thank you. So then for the last number of months, we've been doing an open forum prior to the meeting. I asked Jennifer to put that now at this part, since we weren't getting a lot of business, and it seemed useless for us to sit around here for 15 minutes and stare at our phones while we wait. So at this time, we'll open it for public comment. If anyone wants to talk to us on issues on or off the agenda, now's the time to do so. We have 10 minutes. If anybody wants to go to the microphone and speak to us, we'll just divvy it up between however many people want to talk. Otherwise, if no one's here, we'll just move on. All right, so then on to our consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the meetings located on page 1, including the update, the vouchers on page 2, which total, when I get back to that page, $213,005.52, along with the membership appointment to the Police Department and Fire Department Advisory Board membership. Is there a motion to approve, or does anybody want anything pulled from the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion to approve, Faisoni, seconded by Thielen. Any discussion on that? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None? That carries. Thank you. Moving on then to the fire department, purchasing of their new SCBA's. Andy?
We're just recommending that we move forward with the purchase of our MSA packs at this time. We do have 2 bids. Both of them are very similar in price. I believe one of them was $118,875.84, and the other one was $118,951. And we're recommending to go with the MSA packs at this time, which actually is a few cents cheaper.
And then I understand that we have a generous donation from the Lions Club and that somebody might be here to present that. Who's-
Once again, I'm wearing the wrong shirt.
You definitely should have a real shirt. You too, Beth.
I suppose picture time again?
So just for the record, for those who might not be able to see, that looks like a $10,000 donation from the Painesville Lions Club to our department, their fire department, for the purchase of their scuba equipment.
That is correct.
Thank you, guys.
Do you want us to take this with us?
Yes.
Take a little cash?
You can try it. See you, Mark.
Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it.
In addition to that $10,000, there are more opportunities that we're looking into to try raising more money. The Relief Association is also willing to, we haven't set on a price, but I believe somewhere around that $10,000 mark also that will contribute to those packs. So,
Awesome. So we have a motion listed in the packet, if somebody was willing to make that. I would also suggest if we could add on authorizing the mayor to sign to accept the donation from the Lions Club. That way it's just official.
I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of 15 MSA packs, 30 replacement bottles, and 26 masks from McQueen Energy, St. Paul, Minnesota, in the amount of $118,875.84, with funds to be taken from small equipment fund and undesignated donation line items and the $10,000 donation from the Lions Club.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Brick, as stated on the action sheet, with the addition of authorizing the mayor to sign for the Lions donation. Any further discussion on that?
Yeah, I do. Andy, does this come with any sort of warranty?
Ooh, Dom, what was the warranty on that? I believe it's,
Yes.
I'll let Dom answer.
Yeah, okay. So it's a 15-year warranty. They'll come out and they'll check everything out and do what needs to be fixed. As long as it's under mechanical issue through the pack. If we run it over with a truck, they're not gonna cover that. But if it's a malfunction of any sort, they will take care of that.
Okay.
And with that, if there's a battery that goes bad, as long as it's not, as long as they can't prove that it was run over or something, negligence,
Sure.
they will replace it.
Okay, and how long are these expected to last?
I believe they're
15 years.
15 years
Bottles
is
are
all
good for
that you get out of the bottle now.
Okay,
Same as the warranty then.
What's that?
Same length as the warranty.
Yes.
Correct, yeah, they're very proud of what they have, and they prove it with their maintenance and, their warranty.
sounds good, that's all I have.
All right,
And then, yeah, the prices go up in November, so.
so get in now. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. That carries.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. And again, thank you to the Lions for the donation. We appreciate that. All right. Little libraries. I see a little library here. Somebody want to talk to us about what's going on?
You want them just to sit here?
What's that?
You want them just to stay sitting here and they'll just say their speech?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Ava Alvin. I'm a Girl Scout from Troop 116 with Olivia and Willow who did not join with us today. We are working on our Bronze Award. We would like to put up little libraries around Painesville to help our community. We think this would help our community because some people can't afford to pay for books or can't go to the library because they think they have to pay for their library tickets. Our families would help us put the little libraries, like digging the holes and putting cement in before it freezes. We each would have our own little library to take care of. We would put them in 3 different places. We are thinking Gazebo Park, Community Park, and South Street Park. We think this will help our community get books and encouraging reading. And with Ron Mergen to help decide the best spots at each park. Hi, my name is Olivia Gilk, and I'm a Girl Scout with Troop 116. My friends Ava and Willow and I are working on our Bronze Award for Girl Scouts. We would like to put up 3 little libraries in our community parks. We are looking at Gazebo Park, Southside Park, and Community Park. We would take care of them with monthly set times that we would make sure they are being kept looking good. Our families would help putting these boxes in. We will be using cement to make sure they will stay in the ground and do not fly away. We will think this project is a great way to give back to our community.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I think that it's a fantastic idea. So yes, put them wherever you want. Put one in my front yard if you can't put them elsewhere. Yes, put them all over. Does anybody have any questions or other comments about the project? I think it's just great. Thank you so much for doing
Who's
this.
building them? Your dad's or?
No, so we ordered them through Amazon and it was $800. So the girls had to go and we raised the money ourselves. We started this project last year and then with COVID. So we ended up just asking, their Girl Scout troop donated $300. And then our Girl Scout Community Fund donated another $500. We do have $150 left to raise because there was supposed to be one more girl. So we are in the process on raising that money yet. So they come pre-made like this. They'll have to go and now they chose to stain them all. So we'll stain them. And then we have to go buy a 4x4 board hole and then we'll put them together and cement them in. And I can't guarantee they'll be done before winter because they're on back order right now. They rushed us this one quick. So we're not sure when we'll get the other 2.
I'll make the motion to allow the installation of 3 little libraries in Gazebo Park, South Street Park, and Community Park.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Soini, seconded by Brick, to allow the installation of 3 little libraries in Gazebo Park, South Street, and Community. Any further discussion?
Just one question is, talking winter, is this something that you're gonna do year-round or just be a summer?
It'll be year-round.
It's gonna be
It has to
year-round.
be year-round for Girl Scouts, and then it also has to be, one of the requirements for the Bronze Award, it has to be maintained. So what they're hoping is they'll take care of it till they're hopefully seniors, and then they'll just keep passing it down to other Girl Scouts to make sure that the books stay in there, and then it has a decent latch on it, so the wind won't be blowing it open, or the rain. But they'll have to do maintenance on them and checking them at least once a month.
Maybe a little shoveling?
No problem. That's on them.
I've also seen some with food, non-perishable food, so that might not be a terrible idea either. No, I think that's great. All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Good, that passes, thank you. All right, Belinda.
I have a couple of transfers I'd like to do.
I see that.
Cleaning house. I am trying to lessen our fund count by going through inactivating the funds that we can inactivate. I do work with the auditors on this because there's some background entries that have to be done to do it appropriately. Back in the day, we had a habit of, when we had a project, a street project, for example, you know, you have your engineering expenses prior to getting bond proceeds. And the habit would be to transfer or loan money on a temporary basis to that project from the general fund, from the water sewer fund, or wherever. And we have these handful of loans that have been sitting out there for quite some time. Ron and I had talked, I think, a year plus ago, a year and a half ago, went through the list, and he said, you know, these aren't going to get paid back. The bond proceeds were done, and he and I both came to the conclusion that we don't believe that those loan proceeds were taken into consideration when the total bond proceed was determined. So we do have a handful of these that you can see in the transfer, the action sheet, that have loans from the general fund, from the water fund, from the sewer capital improvement fund, that basically need to be forgiven. There won't be, there's going to have to be a transfer from the debt fund to those appropriate funds. So it will affect the balance of those. The main one hit by those is the general fund. So there are a couple that will have some extra cash in them that we are suggesting here that we transfer to the general fund to help make up for that. I do have a couple more funds to close that I'll be bringing at another council meeting. A couple of those were some TIFs that were decertified quite some time ago and had remaining balances in them. Those balances get sent to the county, and then we get our share of that back, as does the school and the county. Target and I talked today that probably the appropriate thing to do with that money would also be to put it to the general fund to try to make up for some of this loan money that we're having to forgive. But it's the only way we can clean these funds up. So I think I took it to Budget and Finance, they approved moving it out to council.
Any questions or comments for Belinda on this? Otherwise, I believe.
Remaining loan that I'll be coming to that's an airport one that I'm going to go through. It won't be a fund closure, but it'll be a loan forgiveness. He said that.
Otherwise, unless somebody wants to do something else, I think we could entertain a motion to transfer these balances as indicated, transfer and close as recommended on the action sheet, rather than doing each one individually.
Also move that.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Sonia, seconded by Rick, as stated on the action sheet, to move the balances, close funds as appropriate and recommended by our city treasurer. Any further discussion on that? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. That carries. Q. Chief, you have a creative idea for a bike program.
I do. So, like I mentioned earlier, we didn't sell anything with our surplus properties. So I still have probably 20 some odd bicycles. Some are not in real great repair. Some of them are actually pretty decent bikes. I'd spoken with Allison Jansen at the community center. It sounded like, a couple years back, there's a group of people that had taken a bunch of bikes, fixed them up, and given them to the community center. It sounded like there wasn't a lot of interest, and she sat on those bikes for a while. So what I guess I am proposing at this point is creating a community bicycle program whereby we would pick up and purchase, say, 4 or 5, whatever the city felt was appropriate, bike racks, place them around town, take the bicycles that we have them, commercially painted, whether it be by a body shop or whatever, and then seek out somebody to fix these bicycles up. We would label them as community bicycles, and then strategically place them around town for members of the community to use, to get from one place to another, or just simply take a bike ride if they don't have a bike. As I see it, that we stand to benefit a couple different ways. One of the biggest things we see is bicycles that go missing in this community do it because somebody just decides that they want to go from point A to point B and they don't want to walk. So they find a bicycle and they take it for a joyride. And then it gets dumped in the yard and nobody ever claims it. This program, if somebody were to take that bicycle and they dumped it in a yard, we would know it would be identified as a community bike and it would go back in a bike rack instead of our garage. So I'm thinking it may assist in some of the bike thefts that we do have. It's definitely going to help in some of the storage issues that we have when it comes to a bunch of bicycles, and hopefully it'll provide a service to the community at very limited cost to the city. What I would look at is, we talked at the last council meeting about those canine funds being used to go back to the community. I believe we took $3,500 of that for the dog park, so there's another $500 that are left. I would recommend that we use that money as well as the funds from the sale of the boxes and some of the other canine equipment to kind of get this program going. The only totals I have for you right now would be, I think we're looking at somewhere in that $300 range per bike rack, just from the little bit of information I got from Ron. So we maybe have to dip in a little bit more into my capital improvement to, get the bikes fixed. My initial thinking is 12 to 15 bikes if we can get that. And then, replace them as they go. So that's kind of my thought.
Paul and I looked into what other communities are doing community bike programs. There are a few around the state. None of them are, quite as unique as this one, where they're taking surplus bikes and repositioning them. But there are programs, a couple of different communities. I can't remember off the top of my head if you can. But yeah, it is a free bike program that they offer. It's been very successful for those communities, but they are bikes purchased specifically for that, but they are free. And they do seem to be popular with the communities they're in.
Okay, let's do it.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I would think,
It might encourage more.
yeah, the Tech College in St. Cloud would probably be willing to paint them for next to nothing.
I wonder if we could reach out to the school, especially the welding program, and see if they might want to help create some bike racks. Because I know they are sometimes looking for projects to do, and it would probably cut down on the cost a little.
It's possible.
There's not a painting component to our high school, is there?
No, but they could maybe fabricate some, just the bare metal rack that could then get powder coated somewhere.
They do. They have a painting room.
I didn't know if they had a paint booth or something like that with the
They can do painting.
CTE, so maybe I'll reach out to them first.
Yeah,
And then
start
if
there.
not, we'll check the colleges, see if they have something. And then we would just need to find somebody that can actually fix the bikes up.
In the past, I believe it was a group of Lions.
Was, yeah.
The last, they were working out of old funeral home garages. Was there interest?
I don't know. Alan Anderson kind of headed up that group, and I guess you could reach out to Alan. They kind of shut it down because they were giving the bikes to, as you mentioned, to Allison, and Allison, I think, felt like she was inundated with bicycles and there wasn't really that much interest anymore, so they maybe have some parts and some skills. I mean, they're not professionals, they're just guys that volunteered to try to get stuff going, so I don't know the condition of these bikes and whether they feel like they could help or not. But you could reach out to Alan and see.
I know I stopped in there when they were working on them, and
Yeah.
they made one out of two, or,
Yep.
you know, if a hub was bent, and the other one was good, and I think they did a good job.
Well, and there's definitely some of these bikes that will need zero work. It'll just be a matter of painting and labeling them. There's some that will need a little bit more work. I would like to hope that we can get about, 12 or so out of it, but I can reach out to Alan and see. And the one thing, we did reach out to our insurance company on this. As long as we are, assessing the bikes periodically, making sure that they are up to standards, and, at each of the racks we'll post a sign basically letting people know that they're utilizing these bikes at their own risk.
Bring their own helmet.
What's that?
Bring their own helmet.
Yes.
Then,
Oh, go ahead.
if the Lions are not interested, we do have a professional bike, Michaelis. And maybe something like this, he'd,
Brandon?
not do it for free, but maybe at a reduced price, or,
I think he's kind of backed away from that.
Yeah, he has.
He's
oh,
not,
he has?
he's
Okay.
not doing that anymore.
Oh.
But he might help with something like this.
Or he might know somebody who would.
Yeah.
He's a good resource, at least.
I mean, I had a bike he put in spokes, and
Well, my thought is we'll use the winter to get everything up and running and painted and put back together, and then hopefully by next spring we'll have it ready to go.
Well, I think this sounds like a great idea. I don't know that you need a motion from us right now. Maybe let's just come back with a plan in a month or so, whenever you get it formulated, and we can approve it then.
Okay. Do you guys have a color on the bikes when I get to that point?
What was that?
Do you have a color?
Neon yellow.
Bicycles?
I'm suggesting Painesville green.
Yeah, that's true. Good call.
They should all be the same color.
Yeah, they
So
will.
they're recognizable.
Mhm.
Should we go more?
or put a green back fender and a white front one.
I don't know, I've seen a great car driving around. It's red with a black roof on it, kind of a long boxy type thing. Maybe model them after that.
It's a unique solution, that's for sure.
Right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Chamber, thanks for sticking out with us here. The trunk or treat event.
James Street, the closure from Washburn to Lake Avenue.
So we get to the east from what it was last year. Okay. Looks like this has gone through Public Works, approved there. Paul, you signed off on it. 11:45, so about just over 2.5 hours.
Yes.
All right. Any discussion on this, or is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the temporary street closure from the Chamber of Commerce to host a trunk or treat event on Saturday, October 30th, 2021, from 11:45 a.m. to 2:15 p.m., and to close James Street from Washburn Avenue to Lake Avenue.
A second.
Motion by Brick, seconded by Thielen to approve the temporary street closure for the trunk or treat as stated on the action sheet. Any further discussion on that?
The candy and goodies, is that like clubs, or I know our church, I believe, is doing a trunk.
Yeah, last year was, the churches did come downtown with us. I'm not sure this year if they are again. They were emailed.
Yeah, I know Breeze is.
Yeah, they were contacted, we also contacted the police department, fire department. Otherwise, we're kind of advertising it being open, so anyone's willing to, any company or business is willing to participate in handing out candy. But we do have local businesses that from downtown in the area that are signed up.
Very good.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? None? That carries. All right, so then we had a request to support the Painesville Baseball Association in their bid to host the amateur baseball tournament, and they're seeking a letter of support from us. I did mention to Brad Skoogland a few weeks ago when he asked me about this that I'd be willing to sign off on such, so please don't make a liar out of me.
I'll make a motion to support the bid to host the 2024-2025 Minnesota State Amateur Baseball Tournament and authorize the mayor to sign the letter.
A second.
All right, we have a motion by Soini, seconded by Brick, supporting the bid to host the 2024-2025 State Amateur Baseball Tournament and authorizing myself to sign the letter. Any discussion on that?
Just as someone who had to attend a very long baseball tournament this summer, we were desperate for things to do in between games, and there wasn't a lot advertised. So I think that might be something we might want to, since it's we have a few years, we might want to think about how we're going to market and advertise for the businesses in town to the people who will be coming for it.
We may have the new revenue source for that.
I'd love to.
All right.
So yeah, that'd be great.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? None. That carries. All right, the lodging tax. The proposed ordinance is in here for review and discussion. As we talked about last time, this had come up before. We asked that we bring it back so that the chamber could be here to speak about it, educate us a little bit. And then it also gave staff the chance to talk with the Inn and Suites here in town and get their perspective on everything. So, Jacob, if you wouldn't mind just telling us how you envision this working and how it's going to benefit the community.
Since there's no podium, I'll just stay sitting here, it won't be good. So I'm Jacob Bertram, I'm the executive director of the chamber. Joined with me is Donna, she is the vice president of the chamber. So the lodging tax, it was given to us. Matt Dickhausen is our treasurer, he's on the chamber as well. Other communities that he's been working with had this tax and approved it. I thought it would be a good idea for the Painesville community. This tax will tax 3% from the lodging tax. In the city's case, the hotel, and the township's case, Bugby High Resort. So 3% would be going to a bureau for our visitor bureau in the city area. So it would go to, as long as it's promoting the Painesville community or any event that is going on with that. The chamber has quite a few ideas that we would use with lodging tax money. Talking about having our events that we have already, the trunk or treat, expanding that, or Spirit of the Season, a holiday event we do every year, as well as the Winter Fest coming up this February with collaboration with the Painesville Area Community Center, the PAC at the high school. Also what Councilor Brick was talking about for the promotion of the State Amateur Baseball Tournament, that's something that we definitely can be working with that. They asked us to write a letter as well, so we've been kind of in contact with them for that. So that's something that we definitely would want to be prepared for when those fans come to, hopefully, for that, if they get a bid for that. We're hoping to partner with Bugby Hive and the hotel. Matt has met with them both, and they both approved the idea and supported it. Actually, Chris Rich from the hotel said that's the only property that doesn't have a tax like that already in force. So that's something that we kind of can look at that way. We don't know exactly how much money will be coming in, being this will be kind of a new thing for the community. So we're hoping to be able to use it for the funds that we've been thinking about and different things. We also hope to join the Minnesota Association of Convention and Visitor Bureaus. They've been very helpful with us to get information that we need, different communities that have already proposed this to see what they are doing with the funds. So we're definitely going to be joining that association coming this January 1st. Township did approve their ordinance and was sent for the city to approval. We've been working on this for a while, so we would support to have this tax being approved. With any other further questions?
Jake, the only question I have is, and I know we don't have many or any Airbnb or VRBOs here in town, but maybe this is a Bill question, but does this ordinance apply to those types of rental properties as well?
Believe it would, it applies to anybody who rents rooms.
Okay.
So we already have been done with checking with the township to see if there's any other vacation rentals around Lake Cronus in that area, see if they have been contacted. Otherwise, once the ordinance is in force, we'll be, connecting with the city if they have any of those properties.
Do you know if this is something where, I'm just thinking it's going to be a pain in the neck for an individual renting out their house on the lake to collect a tax. Airbnb must have something set up to do this for the property owner.
Yeah, when you
They
rent
must.
an Airbnb, they collect the fee for you, and the owner gets a portion of it, and they take
And they
care of,
must do all the
they take
taxes.
all that stuff.
So then we would just have to notify them that this is now in place as well.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
just
the city can
change
do.
it on the website.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Under section 10-166, use of proceeds, in letter B, it says the city may create a local tourism bureau or from time to time enter agreements with other entities. Has there been any thought on what the tourism bureau might look like?
Well, I think the intent was that we were gonna enter into an agreement to have the Chamber of Commerce act as the tourism bureau. I mean, that was the discussion when this was originally proposed, was that the Painesville Area Chamber would do that.
And that was my understanding as well. Yeah.
Okay.
That way they're doing it for both the city and the township, benefiting both groups at the same time. All right, any further discussion? Otherwise, is there a motion regarding the ordinance?
I'll move to approve ordinance number 27, third series.
A second.
We have a motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Brick, to approve the ordinance third series. Any further discussion on that?
And this will be effective January 1, 22.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None? That carries. Jennifer, do we have a summary of this yet?
We do not.
Okay.
You obviously want one.
We will put together one to get that. We have a little time because it doesn't go until that.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing it here. Okay, moving on then to the Veterans Park boat trailer parking and fines on here.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bill, it says you're going to be giving us a report.
So, I know there was some discussion of having a more aggressive fine, and I reached out to court admin because the chief judge has to approve fines that go on the fine schedule. I mean, we can't just say that the fine will be X and have that be the fine. It has to be approved by the chief judge and incorporated into the county's fine schedule. And they basically said, typically parking fines are $30. You're never going to get a $300 fine for a parking violation. It won't get approved. So I said, well, what if we tiered it so that it went up with multiple violations? And they said that would probably work. I can't guarantee it'll be approved, but it would probably work. They said the other alternative would be to simply not make it a payable fine, require a court appearance, which we could do. It drives costs for prosecution when you make, those kinds of fines require court appearances every time. So it's, you know, I don't know. That's why I drafted it the way I drafted it, because I thought that there was a decent chance that fines tiered like I did with first, second, and third offenses within a year. I mean, I know our sign down there right now still says that we're gonna tow vehicles, and I know we can't. I mean, we really can't tow those vehicles. And I know the chief isn't really interested in trying to tow vehicles with boat trailers attached to them. I walk fairly regularly in that area. I notice it continues to be a problem. I walked by there this weekend. There was, you know, six boat trailers down there. 3 of them were parked illegally, and 3 of them were parked where they're supposed to be. You know, it's, and the only way to get people's attention is to write tickets, I guess. I don't know if, you know, I don't know if we've been issuing warnings or not, but we have an ordinance right now. It'd just be probably a $30 fine under our current ordinance. But, you know, this would, the idea here was, the sentiment I know of the council was to increase the fine substantially, and so I tried to draft something. Hopefully the chief judge would approve these fines. But it's, you know, it doesn't seem like it's a problem that's just going away.
Well, and I know part of the reason why this came up is we had my daughter's baptism out at the park, and there was packed full of trucks with boats behind it. And after a very long day trying to deal with family and trying to get everything set up, I might have thrown a little bit of a hissy fit over getting them out of there. Gene talked me off the ledge, but it was okay. I talked to Ron a little bit about this. I think I would still rather see, maybe in addition to some higher fines for those who still don't listen, but some form of physical deterrent, like some sort of post or pole in between the 2 parking spots so that you can't physically get in a truck in a trailer.
We did that already, did we? To have Ron order the post to put between the 2?
I know what it's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
We already have, I think, ordered, or I don't think we received them yet.
I don't know where he's at
Yeah.
with it.
So I'll follow up on that, but that's already in the works.
So that way, you know, if we do have a fishing tournament or something like that in town, then we're not writing tickets to people who are out there in the community bringing us money, but they still know, I can't do this because, well, they can't. They physically cannot park there.
Yeah, I mean, they can come in the other entry, but there is a fairly, you know, there's a sign there that says no boat trailers beyond this point. But, you know, so I don't know if all the boat trailers are coming the other way or if they're coming in both ways. I have no idea. I've never seen them pull in, but I just know they're there, and it's pretty regular.
I'm wondering if we need a sign that would say it's okay to park on the, is it east grass, overflow parking, or?
Well, that would create another problem with the grass and stuff.
Especially if it's rained or.
I know, that can get very, that's a mud hole after rain, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do when there's 20 boat trailers and there's not room for more than 8?
I think they have to go to another boat landing. I mean, it's not the only boat landing on the lake.
Correct.
Well, that was my thought, is that overflow parking should be directed towards Community Park, West End, 5 Mile Bridge, wherever, for extra parking. Because I would presume that there would be at least room for maybe 75 to 100 boats that would come in for a tournament like that, if it gets to be that high.
I have my own opinion about tournaments, but
Okay.
another day.
Yep.
Well, this is informational for right now. Is it worth bringing this back at a future meeting to vote on? Okay, we'll put it on another agenda.
Well, so this is gonna be posted for 10 days if you want to proceed, and it will come back at your next meeting for approval.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, basically, it's just the fines.
It would be as presented. The ordinance that you have in your packet is what you would consider at your next meeting after posting it for the required 10 days.
And if you would rather not post this and you would like me to do something else, I guess this would be the time to give me some direction. But I did this after checking with court admin and getting the sense that this was probably, in terms of fines, what I thought we had a chance of getting approved. Might still come back and tell you that it wasn't approved, but I hope not.
I think it makes sense to go forward like this as long as we can couple it with something else that serves as more of a deterrent so that we're not having to write tickets. All right. Then that concludes our old business. We have a number of items on for informational, the Gap Project Detour, which is going to be just so much fun as we become isolated for the next 3 years. And then the police department reports, the environmental office hearing notice, and then a citizen concern from John and Connie Wimmer.
We should talk about that.
Paul told us he already talked to them in his report.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Wimmers,
He talked to them.
but I've talked with all the other parties involved.
Okay. I'm just more worried about the conflict that may arise.
Well, my consensus is we have ordinances. There have not been any requests for us to make any sort of exceptions to those ordinances, and I would expect that they be enforced as if anybody else were doing some sort of
Okay.
activity, so. All right, and then with that, we stand adjourned. Thanks.